And now, your host of 180, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. And I also want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to give a big shout out to Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for women in recovery. Just go out to their website and check it out at beyondfeartofreedom.org. And if you're not doing anything Friday night, hop out to their site to get the location where they do their meeting on Friday at 5:30 to 6:15, food, fellowship, and childcare provided. And then at 6:15, they divide the guys and gals into two separate meetings. Awesome. So if you're not doing anything Friday night and you got issues that you've been listening to this show, say, hey, I have those things. I need recovery. I need to rehab. I need detox, whatever it is. These are your gals that you want to talk to. And don't forget, if you want to write me, it's steve@180uturn.com. That's steve@180youturn.com. Happy to take your questions and all kinds of cool things. Just keep the doctrinal stuff off the table. I don't really have the time or the mindset anymore to do it. But I want to really tell you, listen, I love your scriptures that you send me, your exhortations, your admonitions. They're just awesome. And I take them to heart, believe me. Some of them come at the very moment I need it. And now today, we're going to be doing today and all this week, Johnny Brici's show. Welcome to the show, Johnny.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. Boy, I love this show and this testimony because it's still within the framework of what we do on all the people that have been into addictions and jails and everything else. But Johnny's story is really unique, and I can't wait to get to the third show because we're going to talk about, I love guys who go search through every major religion before they finally decide on Jesus. I think that's so awesome, and I can't wait to do that show. So welcome to the show, Johnny. I want to thank you. And you know, I met you through a mutual friend, and you guys have your own ministry. I don't want to get into that today, though. We're going to save the conversion for till Thursday's show and what you're doing in the Lord Friday. But the next 3 days is the bad boy issues. I'm sorry that we have to bring them up, but our testimony is huge, and people that have the same similar views or same understandings, you're going to be an atheist, you might want to catch Wednesday's show. If you're an agnostic, you might want to catch Wednesday's show. A theist, if you're out there. These are the things that really I want to bring to your table. You always tell me, Steve, address it, and we'll make a decision whether we're going to consider the Lord or not. Hey, I love that when they actually tell me that. Well, Johnny, let's get to your story. You are from, originally, right? You were from Romania.
Yeah, I was born in Romania.
So you're from, and during the time of Romania, is this the Eastern Bloc of the Soviet Union?
Yep, I grew up in communism.
Wow, and as a child, I mean, didn't they roll tanks into Romania?
Yeah, they did. They had the military. It was there, and we definitely saw it.
So when you were young, you were like, you didn't leave till what, age 7 or so?
7. At 7 years old, we came to the States.
Tell everybody a little bit about it, because we in America, we have no understanding of that level of oppression. We got our own, but not like that. You know, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I grew up in communist Romania, and some of the stories and some of the memories that I do have back, from Romania are, for example, like if you needed some milk, you needed some rice, you needed some goods. We would have to wake up at 4 a.m., go stand in line. They would have like a list, and they would kind of mark down our family, how many kilograms we get of rice, how much milk we get. And if you don't stand in line, if you get there too late, pretty much there's no more food, and that's pretty much you missed your opportunity. There's no hope. You got to come back the next day if there is food. So it was very challenging. I remember waking up, and the breakfast I had was, if we were blessed, was a cup of tea with some lard on it. We'd take some lard, some of the things that we did, and that's what our food was, and if we would have to plant in the garden all the time, if we didn't plant in the summer, we'd have nothing for the winter. I remember the first time in my life when I ate an orange. I remember my dad at work, he was an engineer on trains, and he brought back for Christmas, it was a sack of oranges. And I didn't know how to eat it. And we ate the inside of the peel because we didn't know how to do it. We ate the inside.
Wow. And
we just sat there and smelled it, and we just really, it was a precious thing to us for, a long time. We didn't just consume it right away. I remember the first time seeing a banana in my life. I didn't know what it was. We had to figure out. I remember the first time seeing a pineapple, hearing about it and being able to smell these fruits and be able to enjoy them. So that was kind of our life. I remember we'd get a pack of gum, the double mint, the tree gum, and I would chew that piece of gum for a week. And you just, that's what it was. You would save it, and you wouldn't just dispose it. And that's a little bit of my life out there. And I just remember also, I grew up going to church. I remember going to church. We couldn't go to church. I remember the secret police were after us. We did have family in the States, and I remember my parents kind of training us and telling us if somebody comes and asks you some questions, how to respond to them. I remember we'd walk to church as kids, and what would happen is, we'd get fines. I remember, some of the stories from my parents, like, there were song books that would be burned up by them. I remember that, they would make them spit on the Bible and tell them if you renounce him by spitting on this Bible, and they would sit at home and they would have to write verses and they would have to write song books to bring them to church, because if they brought them to church, the communism party would take them, and then that way they had the original at home. So this is a little bit of the stories that I grew up, in communism Romania.
Well, I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, my family came over at the turn of the century, 19th century, right around 1910 or whatever it is, and I have never ever. I love my native Germany. I love them. I just was there 2 years ago, but no, America, what a country. Now, not only did that happen, and I'm sorry for that, and oh my gosh, things have changed in Romania and every place else now, thank God, right? But you traveled over here, and you came to my hometown, Chicago, right? I love that. Tell me a little bit about coming to Chicago, and you knew no English, right?
No.
So you are at ground zero communication skill sets.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
So we came to Chicago. My parents, they wanted to, kind of have a better future for us. And America was the thing. As a child, when I thought about America, I thought about America that you get here and it was streets of gold. And in my mind, in my imagination, I had this image of carriages, because we'd be in the village, and you have like two horses, you have a carriage. I thought that the carriage is full with gold, full with everything over here in the States. So my parents came here, for a better future. We got to the States. I was 7 years old. I did not know nothing. I come from that Eastern European culture. And then we got to Chicago. There was 11 kids in my family at the time, and we got in a one-bedroom apartment. I didn't speak English. We're in a complete different environment. There was buildings everywhere. There was cars everywhere. There was people everywhere, different cultures, different people. Chicago was not easy. It was really tough. It was really tough. It was really difficult.
Well, first of all, the neighborhood was a bad neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. We got into a neighborhood, for example, I didn't know the Crips and the Bloods, but we got into a situation that I remember wearing the wrong T-shirt, and I got punched in the face for no reason at all. And I didn't know why I got punched.
Because of the color.
Because of the color, yeah.
Wow.
And later on,
not the color of your skin, the color of the T-shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So later on, I started, I had to get tough. I had to kind of, start figuring out, even though I didn't speak English at the time, I had to kind of start, really learning quickly, I guess, through the streets over there. So it was really tough. We were in a hard situation. We were in a one-bedroom apartment. I would see my mom weeping and crying, and I did not know why. I had no idea. I just kind of knew back in Romania, it wasn't bad. I can't say we'd play soccer, we had activities, but I got back to the States and I had to go to a school, and the school that we went to was like a little prison from my viewpoint at the time, because it was all concrete. Everybody had their groups. You have the Hispanic group, you have the black group, you have they have the white group, and I wasn't able to join because I didn't speak the language, and so it was really tough. It was really difficult, being in Chicago, learning the culture. I remember the first time seeing Halloween in my life, and I saw somebody come, and they had a costume with a pig, the head of a pig, and the only pigs I knew was in the village where you take care of and you slaughter them to survive. And I saw this man coming down the street, and I thought the world has ended. And I ran, and I was a 7-year-old child. I ran home and I says, "Mom, the world is ended. It's over." And that was my viewpoint of Chicago. Like, where have you brought us? What in the world is going on?
Well, yeah, and let's just tack on the winters.
Yeah.
The whiplash off Lakeshore Drive, off Lake Michigan, can be brutal.
Yeah.
And if you were there at that time, boy, there were some serious winter times there.
Yeah. It was, we had to really get used to it. We had to really dress up, and we still walked over there, to school and things like that.
I'm thinking of what it's like to be crammed into a one-bedroom apartment with 11 kids. I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, well, we were close kids, so it wasn't what's it called? It wasn't too bad, but yeah, it was difficult. It gives you, it made me think, it gave me thoughts like this, why do we have to suffer like this? This is not fair. Why do we have to go through these circumstances? It's not right. Everybody else has, we don't have. It was really difficult. I'll give an example. For example, my childhood, I would wake up in the morning, and in Chicago we have these alleys, and these alleys you'd go and the people throw soda cans, aluminum cans away. and I would dumpster dive, and I would go there to be ahead of everybody, and we'd go just walking down the alleys. Me and my
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Yeah,
Very early in the morning, yeah. And we would go and we'd get as many cans as we can. We'd smash these things, and we'd get like these big bags and try to help my parents, to pay the bills, try to help them, with whatever needs that they may have. So that was a little bit of my upbringing over there, doing that in the summertime, wintertime. Yeah, I felt like it was not fair. It was not right.
Now you were raised, generally when I have people that I've met over the years, Eastern European, most of them are Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox or, some Russian Orthodox. But you were brought up in, correct me if I'm wrong, Protestant Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
Now that's to me, that's a little odd because I don't hear that often. So were you coming over, do you think where you were in Romania that was kind of like, was that authentic?
Like, what do you mean by authentic sense?
Well, when I come back from the break, I'm going to ask you, hey, do you think that was authentic Christianity for you, or no, it was just going to church and it was a drag?
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, I think, okay, I see.
Yeah. So when I come back, I'll pick it up from there. Listen, when we're talking about America, and you're comparing it to our story that Johnny's bringing up here coming from Eastern Europe, I hope you understand what it's like to have gratitude, thankfulness. Your heart's full of happiness. Everything America was built on freedom and your ability to go after things and have an opportunity. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue with Johnny's story, so you won't want to miss a single drop. We'll be right back.
You know the road to recovery can be difficult, but you don't have to travel it alone.
I'm going right down that about, what did you think of church? Did you think it was authentic? Was it good?
Okay, no, I could, yeah, okay.
Power of God and moved on to a new life in Christ. For more information about Friday nights, just go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. If you can't get to BFF on Friday nights, or you don't live in the Phoenix area, you can stay connected by joining BFF's Subscribe Tribe, where you'll receive their weekly study guide, so you can track with them online. Just sign up today on BFF's website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. And don't forget to listen to BFF's weekly video podcast with Debbie G and Sheridan. Their own life experiences and their biblical influence will overhaul your thinking, your identity, and your future. They'll keep you encouraged with some great insight and biblical truth. Just friend them on Facebook or go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. BFF, where you might just discover a best friend forever.
Well, welcome back to 180 U-Turn. I'm Steve Savant, your host. And all this week, we're breaking down Johnny Brici's story. And again, remember, I just tell everybody, when you listen to this on the radio, the next week we'll have it out on video, online, and you'll want to listen to it in chronology so you get the full benefit of Monday through Wednesday's Bad Boys show, and then the Thursday of our, what I euphemistically call Holy Thursday. And then, of course, Friday, we talk about what you're doing now, and he's got a lot to talk about. So I want to get back to your question. Coming from a Protestant Pentecostal church, did you think as a child, remember, we're talking about your view as a child, was it authentic to you?
Yeah, I thought it was 100%. That was, we had the real thing. I thought everybody else had it all wrong. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was authentic. I thought it was real. I can't say, even as a child, I can't say that I did not experience God, from my worldview. You have to remember, this is in the time of communism, and the church was being persecuted. Mm-hmm. I did not understand it, but there was something that I recognized over there in the church, that the church was on fire. Mm-hmm. For example, I remember some of the prayer meetings, having to, stuff the windows and come in secrecy to a prayer meeting and risking it. So I thought it was authentic, and the experiences that I was having as a child in the church, they marked me. Even though I did not like them, they marked me. So I felt it was real. I saw the gospel being preached in power, even though I did not understand it. The prayers, you would not have to tell anybody to pray or convince somebody or try to get their emotions all stirred up to pray, like, hey, let's pray. No, there was no such thing. The prayer was moving. The church was on fire. And as a child, sitting there at, 5 years old, from my, my memory, I saw something in the people. Mm-hmm. I saw something in them, and it felt very real to me.
And when we get on throughout your testimony, I'm going to be asking you a very hard question, which is, hey, if it was so real, what happened here? And this is listen, in prison and jail, 20% of my audience are prodigals. They just are. And I always ask the same question. If you had such a great upbringing, how did you go south? Where did the rebellion start? We'll get to that later. Now, you guys moved from my native Chicago to the West Coast up in Vancouver. I mean, what a talk up. That is like day and night.
Well, my parents either wanted to go back to Romania because that one bedroom thing was not doing it for them, which makes sense. Like, let's go back. You know, they had a decent house back in Romania, but they were just kind of they were kind of praying because they were, you know, Christian family. They were kind of praying, and just kind of the Lord just, I guess, lined them up to go to the West Coast. We didn't know nobody out there, and they just kind of put like this, you know, like this, I guess you could say, a sign before the Lord. Lord, if you want us, lead us there. And what happened, we ended up in the West Coast. We ended up in Vancouver, Washington, which was like a village compared to Chicago. Completely different atmosphere, completely different people, everything was completely different. I feel like another country.
Were the people warmer? Not warmer?
No, the people were, I guess you could say the people were warmer. I guess, you know, you could say outside, but the school, in the school settings, no, I don't think they were, maybe they were not as tough maybe as Chicago, I could say. They didn't maybe physically get down, you know, to things. In Chicago would get down physically, but more verbally, more picking on you. You know, I when I got to the West Coast, I was made fun of a lot. You know, and then,
because of the language barrier, mostly?
Yeah, the language barrier, and they would just tell me, go back to your country. What are you doing here? Get out of here. You know, they would call me like names, like, you know, go back to like Russia, go back. You know, I was like, I'm not even from Russia in the first place. You know, and says, what are you doing here? So I got made fun a lot. And everybody's making fun of me.
Well, just in case it slipped everybody's mind for the last 45, 50 years, I just want to say welcome to America.
Thank you.
You and your family, yeah. I am, anybody that comes here legally and goes through the meat grinder of what is immigration, once you become here and you're a U.S. citizen, you are part of the family. Anybody that tells you different, you're off the wall. And let me say, in God's eyes, hey, we cannot play in bias land or any partiality. So we got to come to the place where we love all men equally. And when you're coming here legally, there's nothing to say. Hey, when you get there, when you're in Vancouver, again, you know, I'm just Steve, you know, West Coast thinking and so forth. It is a little better. You know, it's a little more, it's a smaller city. You don't have the same issues either. I don't know how many gangs are in Vancouver, so to speak. But tell me a little bit about the school there, because that's going to be kind of the introduction into how we get into some of the pharmaceuticals you guys got into.
So the school setting is completely different. Like I said, I was saying Chicago was, you know, I feel like a jail. But over here, we had a playground. You know, I went to Minnehaha Elementary School. You know, that was a pretty good school. But when I got into middle school, it was good, but it was just a lot of, you know, we had the guys on the varsity team. Then we had the popular club. Then we had the nerds, and then we had the foreigners. So the school setting was not bad, but, you know, what was going on between the kids, it was not good. It was just a lot of picking on, you know, a lot of, you know, putting you down with words, just a lot of hurtful things.
I'm always amazed how kids pick up on some kind of formulated pecking order, you know, where people are put in classifications and then subjugated. I mean, is this coming from mom and dad, or is this coming out of the imagination of adolescents out of control? I mean, you know.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe it comes in, through culture, family, upbringing. Maybe people, sometimes I think people got picked on themselves. I realized later, somebody that's bullying, usually something occurred to them, you know, and they have some kind of insecurities that they feel like they need to pick on somebody else. And usually something's going on inside, because you don't just come in and just start, you want to feel better about yourself. So technically the issue's not with the person, the issue's with yourself. And that's what that person needs, you know, technically needs the gospel.
I just remember somebody coming from Italy, couldn't speak a dime of English. My dad befriended him immediately because the guy could cook. You know, he just thought, this guy's the greatest cook he ever met in his life. So there was, in my view, we are a mixed culture in Chicago, everybody that we knew. But in my little area, you're either German or Polish, Catholic or Lutheran. That's it. It was pretty limited. Okay, so now you're going through. You're kind of. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and you're being picked on and so forth. And you're at the low. It sounds like you're at the lower end of the ladder, right? Yeah. So it's never good to be at the bottom of the rung. I have noticed though that if you are a Christian and you're walking in the Lord, sometimes when you're put at the lowest end of society, God decides to bring you and put you at the front of the line. I've just noticed his tendencies, his MO, you know, God's modus operandi is to kind of take people that are put down and give them more grace, according to 1 Corinthians 11. Okay, tell me a little bit about your difference. Now you're caught between the church you're going to with your family and the world that you're living in as a child.
So pretty much I was going to church, and the church was a Romanian church, and kind of people that came to the States, they kind of created a community. and that was a church setting, pretty much. I can't say from my worldview, because I don't want to throw nobody under the bus, I guess maybe you want to say, but from my worldview, I felt like just going to church, I feel like everybody else is going to go to hell, and that's it. From the way I was seeing it. And then I was taking this, Sundays we'd do church, we had midweek service, and the rest of the time I'm, with my school, being picked upon, going through hard situations. So this kind of what it did in my heart, it made me kind of create something. So I'll give an example. I would I would feed off like certain movies, okay, I came here, I got picked on in Chicago, I was getting picked on in the States, and, I can't say I was a fighter myself. Does it make sense? You could hit me, but then I'm gonna turn into like an animal. I'm gonna black out, and this rage would come upon me. I'm gonna die, or one of us is gonna die. I had this rage inside of me. From Chicago, getting picked on, getting a lot of fights, getting chased down, bringing this over here to the West Coast, and then having the church settings all church setting, and then having not a reality. So I started watching. I would watch movies like Van Damme. Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I grew up with these Rambo. So I grew up with these movies, and I saw that nobody picked on these guys. So then I says, I'm gonna be the strongest man. I'm gonna train. I'm gonna discipline myself, and I trained myself to do the splits just so I could kick somebody in the face. I trained myself to do something because I was like, I'm never ever gonna get picked on again. And I did not like bullies. So if I saw somebody getting bullied, I still had this moral kind of compass, I guess. If I saw somebody get picked on, I would deal with that person. I says, don't pick on, because I didn't like getting picked on myself. So I created this strong man inside, I guess I could say, to defend myself. So if anybody said something, my way out of it was fighting. My way is like, okay, well, I'm going to deal with this situation. I'm going to do something bad that nobody's ever going to speak about it. I'm going to make an image, and I'm going to have a fight in school that I'm going to have such a bad fight that I'm going to be known in the school. I'm going to be known in the community that this is the bad guy. And this is kind of how, I'd go to church, I'd be fine, but then I would have my another whole life outside, and training myself up to, and then I started getting these dreams, I guess I say. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. I hated seeing poverty. I says, when I get rich, when I get wealth, I'm going to help my family out. I don't want to see my parents suffer. I'm going to buy them a house. I'm going to, get everything. I'm going to get everything. And, I started fighting for this American dream, I guess you could say,
Well, I like the aspect of, once you start down the revenge arena, you're not going to try to equal, hey, I'm just going to put the guy in his place. You're going to retaliate at such a level that nobody's going to mess with you anymore because you're going nuclear over nothing. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And people get scared of that. People who have characteristics that when they blow, they blow. They're volcanic in their anger, and when they take you out, they're going to take you out. So I understand your MO, your modus operandi. Now, in this situation, I mean, I don't think you were ever expelled from school for this, though, right?
No, I was not expelled. We'd have things, but of course we found ways of covering it and going around after school.
Now, in your home, what number are you out of your 15 siblings?
Yes, number 7.
So you're in the middle of the pack. Oh my gosh! I think sometimes I feel like the middle children get kind of forgotten.
Yeah, it was actually tough, to be honest. From my understanding. Like, okay, I'll give an example. Like, my older siblings, they would get in trouble. They got discipline. They got correction, and I was that middle child. And there was a gap in my family. There was a gap between me, and I had a brother that was born after me that died at birth. And there was a gap, and then somehow, because I was the number 7 when I was growing up in Romania, coming to the States, I was like kind of like, I didn't want it, but they were like, my parents were nicer to me,
You're like the baby of the
family.
Yeah,
the baby, and I disliked it. I disliked it. I did not. I wanted to get punished. I wanted to get in trouble because I wanted to fit in. And
wow, I got a guy who's so sick in his heart that he wants to get punished. Okay, I've heard it all now. I love the kind of teaching for adolescents. Well, listen, don't forget to check out BFF's meeting on Friday night at 5:30 to 6:15 for food, fellowship, and childcare is provided. And then at 6:15, some of the best sharing you've ever experienced. They split the guys and gals apart to speak to things that are just really dynamic and helpful. And I ask you to go ahead and check out their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant. And remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.